Um, no, I'll be brief because I know you guys probably have a lot more questions than I do in my statement. Just thank our team, our players for how well they've handled all of the adversity thrown their way this spring. The last couple months now, we're getting into, I don't know how many days. I think somebody said close to 90 days. Since pretty much our country and state shut down, and I want to thank them and tell them how proud I am too of them for, now I know everybody's itching to get back on campus to work for these voluntary workouts, but there's a tremendous amount of steps that needed to be taken in order to do that. Our support staff should be commended. If I start naming names, it'll be too many, but from our strength staff to our athletic training staff and medical staff to certainly our operations staff, equipment staff. I mean, you name it. I mean, this is something they don't write a manual for, and everybody in our organization has done a phenomenal job of rising to the occasion and making sure that certainly that the safety and well-being of our players and staff are at the forefront of everybody's mind, and really drives everything. Every decision that we make is based on their safety and well-being. We've been preparing for Monday for a long time, longer than a lot of people. We knew this day would come. We didn't know what it would look like, but we've certainly been preparing for it. And, and to tell our players, to tell the public, this is still a time of extreme flexibility. There's still a lot of unknowns out there that, we get told of decisions sometimes at the 11th hour and have to make very quick decisions based on, the schedules of our players and staff and what the medical guidelines are, so on and so forth. So it is ever changing, ever evolving, but up until this point, this is, it's gone as smooth as we could have hoped for. The team, we've segmented their return into two segments. For those of you that don't know, the first segment is basically all of our off-campus guys as we prepared to get the dorm rooms open. And again, I do want to thank President Hartzell and Soncia and everybody in residence life for, answering the bell, if you will, in terms of getting the dorms sanitized and turned around in time for our on-campus guys to get there. But our off-campus guys showed up on Monday and had everything done from the COVID-19 test to antibody tests to had blood drawn, physicals. We got them a meal gift card so that we can feed them. And then everybody that has certainly been cleared to do that will start working out as soon as the Big 12 has allowed us to, which is on June 15th. And then on June 15th, Group B, if you will, the on-campus guys and incoming freshmen, they will start their screening process and they will join the workouts on June 22nd. We, as you guys well know, after last night, found out that two of our teammates had tested positive for COVID-19 and are currently in self-isolation and, feeling in good spirits. 14 days to be isolated is a long time, guys. And so we're making sure that not only are they physically healthy, but that we're making sure that we do everything we can to support them while they're away. And we had one player test positive for the antibodies of COVID-19, meaning the way I understand it is the virus. He did have the virus at one time, and his body fought it off, passed through his body. But those that do test positive for the antibodies, we will do some more extensive workup on their heart and circulatory system, knowing that even though your body may have fought the virus off on its own, that there may be some underlying damage, possibly that that you don't feel, you being the player that tests positive, that he doesn't feel any effects of right now, but could be something that lingers. And then last but certainly not least, I cannot tell you how proud I am of our team, the leaders on our team, for their involvement in what is going on in our society right now, and using the platform of being a football player at the University of Texas to be an agent of change. And certainly, a lot of our players have expressed how they feel and asked very difficult questions via social media. Those of us that were in town and chose to participate in our march to the Capitol did so without a hitch. That was very, very powerful. And you heard a few of our guys say some very powerful things once we got there. But I do know that our team is committed to making sure that is not the last time that you will see Texas football out on the forefront of changing the landscape and system of our society as best we can. And they are committed to it, hook, line, and sinker. And now more than any time in our society, I think is a great opportunity for the young people in our society to express themselves, and not just express themselves for the sake of expressing themselves, but express themselves and take action that leads to positive change throughout our society. And I know our guys, again, extremely proud of them for what they've done up until this point, but just as proud, maybe even prouder of, the continuation of that mindset of being active in affecting change. So with that, Caden, Sam, great to see you guys. Got those meetings with you. So this is nothing new for us to be meeting with each other via Zoom, but I will open it up for questions.
Go ahead and do the raised hand if you have a question. And Chip, go ahead.
All right. For Sam and for Caden, if you both could talk about the march to the Capitol, what impact that had on you both, and what is the most important message right now that you think needs to be out there with regard to what's going on in this country right now. And then a football question for Tom, just, seeing, well, I don't know how much you are able to see the guys right now, just what it's like to see these guys after being on Zoom calls for months.
I think the first part of that, we can't see him at all. I mean, I saw him at the march, and I tried to be as casual as I could be in terms of passing them on Monday when they were being tested. But we were told that it's best if we don't have any physical contact. So that's been really hard, really, really hard. But it was really good to see the players that we were a week ago able to see in the flesh on our way to the march. That was the highlight, one of the highlights of these last 3 months for me. But I'll let the guys answer your first question, Chip.
Yeah. Oh shoot, well I'll go first. Well the march really was just powerful for me just because you know, it's just to have everybody behind this movement because it is something that's really going on in society, and I think everybody's starting to realize it or acknowledge it at least, and just to show that that we support Black Lives Matter as a team, and unity is really important. So again, the biggest message, like Coach said, that this protest and marching can't be the end result. It just serves as a symbol that there will be change, and so now it's time for action. Whether it's starting off as educating yourself and really all ourselves. I've been watching documentaries on Malcolm X and stuff like that, just to really dive into this whole issue that we're facing. So I just think, yeah, action and unity are the next things that we really need to focus on, because that's what it's going to take if you really want for change to happen. So.
Yeah, I would say for me, the march was incredible. It was something. It felt really good to be a part of something and support my teammates like that. We took a knee for 9 minutes, and it was very powerful. I suggest that anyone who hasn't been able to participate in a protest or a walk takes a knee or lays down for 9 minutes and really think about how long that time period is, because that's how long that George Floyd was on the ground with a knee in his back. So I would say the message for moving forward is lead with love. If you have love in your heart, there is no difference between skin color or race, and all people are equal. So if you can lead with love, you'll be able to see that there's no difference in that, and that's where change will present itself.
Hey, John, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Oh, okay, awesome. I guess kind of following on that as well. Sam, how important do you think it was for people to see you, the quarterback leader of the team, out there doing a movement like this, where, like you said, it didn't matter, black, white, you guys were all out there?
It was really moving for me. I think we came together as a team. You know, there were multiple races out there, and you know, it's one thing to preach a family unit, but when things get tough, how does that family respond? And I thought that everybody on the team came together well. We were hearing each other out and had great conversations, and then the march was indicative of that, of the togetherness that we had, because we had people of all different ethnicities and backgrounds out there.
Go ahead, Danny.
Hey, Sam, I'm kind of wondering, as a returning captain, what have you kind of observed from your guys as far as their leadership and the way they've stepped up during, you know, the coronavirus break, and then obviously, you know, helping organize the march and stepping up that way? What have you seen leadership-wise from some of the other guys from your team, on your team?
I would say it's awesome to see guys stepping up. I think as you move up in the program and you get older, which I think that we have an older team than we did last year, guys realize that their voices are heard. And so I would say that the player-led aspect of the things that have been going on internally are increasing daily. And that's something that we want to continue to do because Coach always said it's coach-fed but player-led. And during this time, I think that there's been a lot of guys that have stepped up in every single different position group. It's not just one position group. So I'm really excited for the amount of leaders that we have on the team, and the way that we've taken ownership in the program and leading other guys as players.
Anwar, go ahead.
I have a question for a coach, and then a question obviously for Sam and Caden. Coach, when you've got, a group of guys who haven't been able to be around their staff really, since the spring. And there's a bunch of 7 new guys. You haven't had the spring practice. How do you feel that everything's been developing as far as getting guys on the same page, as far as trying to implement game plans, things to that effect? And for Sam and Caden, I'm just kind of curious with these new coaches, what kind of relationships that, Sam, have you been able to develop with your Sitch basically through Zoom and not working on the field? Same thing for you, Caden, with your position coach and Ash.
Well, the good part about everything was that, in the last 5 to 10 years, the NCAA has certainly relaxed a lot of the rules surrounding our interaction with our guys in the winter off season. So, as soon as these guys got back from Christmas break, we were allowed to meet with them for 2 hours a week, which we took full advantage of. We were able to have position-specific conditioning drills. So every single one of our players has been coached numerous times on the field by their new coach. And just recently, the last couple of years, we've been allowed to have walkthroughs too. So, we got a lot accomplished in February and March, certainly. And then now, with 8 hours a week, we're not even close to using the 8 hours a week of meeting time that the NCAA has allowed us to have with our players virtually. But I feel ecstatic, more than comfortable with the mental aspect of the game. If we have met more, let me put it to you this way, regardless of spring practice or not, we have met more this off season from February until June than any other year in the past, and maybe twice as much if I had to put, maybe more than twice as much. So really not concerned with the mental aspect of assignment and learning the offense and defense, but obviously there's no substitute either for full speed 11 on 11 physical reps. So we're going to have to catch up to that as best we can. But, we're to the point now where, we're talking about third down packages. We're talking about red zone packages. We're talking about short yardage packages. We're talking about things that you wouldn't even get in a spring practice. These are situations that you wouldn't even talk about probably until training camp, and we're already meeting on them here in June. So that part of it, very comfortable with, excited about, but certainly understand that it's one thing to know it and have met on it, but it's another thing to go out there and do it correctly over and over again.
Sam, what about you and your Sitch? How's that relationship been? And then same with you, Caden.
Yeah, it's been great. Obviously, we got a little bit of time to be together in January and February, and so we got to start our relationship there. And through Zoom meetings, nothing has dropped off. We've been able to meet a lot. I know if I ever call him and want to meet virtually, he's always available. And we've done that multiple times, just meeting individually. I think that he's an incredible coach and a great teacher. And I'm really, really excited for the relationship that we'll have on the field.
Yeah, just to piggyback off that, I feel the exact same way. Again, Coach Ash is really elite at what he does. Just the way we obviously meet. He's detail oriented, and I feel like through virtual meetings on the mental aspect, like when we get back, we're going to be able to slow the game down. And then outside of that, he's calling us a lot, just checking in. And again, if I wanted to meet anytime, had any questions about film, he's responding within 10 minutes. So the relationship is there and it's continuing to grow regardless of interaction in person, but the relationship's there.
Go ahead, Bob.
For Sam and Caden, I'm curious what Caden, you just talked about the action you have to take. What is the next action? Because you guys are one of the few universities that have been at the forefront nationwide. What are the next action steps that you guys will take, and how do you plan to do all of this and balance it with football as well? Because like Tom said, obviously this isn't something that's 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, 6 months, a year from now. You want to continue to lead this lead in this way. What are some of the next action steps you guys want to take?
Just as an individual, like I said, I think it starts with education first, because there's a lot of it there, and it is deep rooted into this country of this oppression that the Black community has been facing, and it starts there, and then it starts with self-reflecting and checking yourself. Really, like, do I have any hate in my heart? And if you do, then get it out of there, and have conversations. Be open-minded. And open your heart, because again, nothing's going to be done if there's no unity and understanding one another, regardless of color, religion, whatever background, wherever you come from. And then come together, because this is a bigger issue, and a lot of it's really deeper than the surface. So I think starting with those two things will get the ball rolling, and obviously getting registered to vote and educating yourself on the politics side, which I have no clue, so I really got to do a lot of research on that. So
I would say for me right now, as Caden mentioned, the education piece, I've been trying to listen and just hear guys out, and then from there, once I feel that I have a great understanding from listening and understanding what guys are saying, then that's when I'll be able to formulate what the next step will be for myself. And then on top of that, I told the guys, I'm right by their side with whatever action they want to take. And so if they call me up at 2 a.m, I'm there. Whatever that looks like and whatever action they want to take, I'm there. And then managing football with that, I think that we'll do just fine managing our football aspect.
Go ahead, Jeff.
All right, I have one for Kate. Yeah, I think I'm unmuted. Cool. I have one for Caden and one for Sam. Caden, we've talked about those difficult conversations that you guys have had, especially over the past week or so with your teammates. I imagine that you have taught some people some things. What do you hope that you have taught some of your teammates, and have you had a moment where you saw a light bulb go off because of something you said? And Sam, when your two teammates, or you found out that your two teammates tested positive for COVID-19, was that something that surprised you, shocked you? What were your initial impressions, or were you expecting someone to test positive?
Can you ever re-ask that question? You kind of cut out.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah. Have you seen a light bulb moment in any of your teammates when you were having a conversation with them and it just clicked in their mind what your perspective has been about this social injustice movement?
Yeah, I've seen many light bulbs go off. Just when we first had that initial team meeting, a lot of people were like, wow, I never looked at it that way. I really didn't understand that this was not really going on, because it wasn't really affecting me. And yeah, I just think for me, being biracial and being half white and half Black, I think it's critical to bridge that gap that you kind of see in the disconnect that there is, because I come from two families with different backgrounds, completely two different backgrounds, but really it's all love, none of that. But in our society, it's not like that. And just for me, seeing that, and I think it's my responsibility, again, like I said, to bridge that gap, and again, just to listen to everybody. This is just listen to where they come from and what they know, because again, there's a lot of things underneath that people don't know that could end up being symboled or labeled as racist, and that they don't know. So again, let's having those conversations. I've seen many light bulbs go off. I know me and Sam have talked about it. We've watch a lot of things together, just about how the system is and educating ourselves. So for sure, I've seen a lot of people kind of be enlightened by the information and stuff going on. So.
And to answer your question, I was not surprised that people tested positive for COVID-19 because you have so many different people across the country, and when you bring everybody back together, there's a high chance with how relevant the infection is. I was not surprised. I was hoping that my antibody test would come back and say that I had the antibodies and I didn't have to worry about it anymore. But unfortunately, I don't think that's the case. But I think that everybody's all the measures in place are the detail is thought out down to the T, and I trust that everything will be handled extremely well by our training staff and medical staff and everybody else.
Brian, go ahead.
Yeah, Caden, I just wanted to ask you, if you could speak for all the DBs, how would you gauge the overall response to last Thursday on either your social media or emails or messages? Would you say it was fantastic? Would you say it was about what you expected? Was there some ugly responses? I mean, how would you gauge the spectrum?
From what again?
From fans or your family or people, when people saw the news of, hey, oh my God, this happened. What was the reaction that you got?
I'm pretty sure I got a lot from my family. Obviously, they're going to support me and this team regardless. But from fans, I felt like there's obviously support throughout, just looking at some of the stuff. But also there's always some pushback to that too. So I'm not really concerned with the positive, but again, it's just about getting everybody together on this situation. But I think overall, from what I've seen, it's pretty positive collectively. So.
And Caden, you're not concerned with the negative, right?
Oh, not concerned with the negative, no.
Jeff, go ahead.
Hey, Tom, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. I just had a couple quick ones, Tom. After adding Tariq and Jade, just where things at in terms of 85 scholarships, and also in that same vein, any personnel injury updates? And then two, I'm sure you've seen kind of the 6-week plan that the oversight committee, I guess, is going to vote on next week. Is that kind of the idea you had when you talked about needing 6 weeks to get ready? Do you like kind of how they've laid it out in terms of what that calendar looks like?
Let me answer that part first while it's fresh on my mind. To be honest with you, no. I was hoping, for a lot of us, that we're not able to participate in spring practice, that we would have the ability to have some sort of full speed activity. Every proposal that I've seen thus far, shows a lot of walkthroughs, a lot of meetings, but no real, 11 on 11, 7 on 7, full speed activities, and that was disappointing. Now, certainly at this juncture, I'm not complaining either. We'll take everything that we can get at this point. But no, it is very well thought out. And that's the proposal we're working on off of in terms of planning. Us coaches, we've spent 20 some odd years. We're creatures of habit. I mean, maybe the biggest, personification of that phrase is in the coaching world. And for 25 years, I've known what my January looks like. I've known what my February looks like. I know what my March looks like, April, May, June, July. And this thing has completely turned everything that I know on its head. And So I think the biggest thing for us as coaches in the planning of getting ready for the season, we just want the information to be given to us as quickly as possible. And I know 5 minutes ago I just said measure twice, cut once. So I get that the powers that be want to make sure that they get it right the first time, and I applaud them for that. But we're sitting there yesterday in a 3-hour meeting, and we planned. This is real. We basically planned off of a proposal that hasn't even been approved yet, and that only got us through July 9th, right? And so it's like, July 9th, like for 25 years, I could have told you what July 9th was going to look like in January, and we're sitting here in the middle of June talking about what, July 9th or 10th or 11th is going to look like for our team. And that's a bit unsettling for everybody, but, everybody involved is, we understand, and we've adapted, and we understand that that's the way things are going to be for quite some time. So we're not going to fight it. We're going to accept it and make the most of it. In terms of injury updates and scholarship updates, with Tariq and Jade, I think we're at, and the couple walk-ons that have stayed on scholarship, former walk-ons, I should say, that have stayed on scholarship, I think we're at 83. Again, I could probably tell you a whole lot more about COVID-19 morbidity rates right now than I could about scholarship numbers. But I think 83 is the right number. I think, we're still going to try to save, 1 or 2 for a grad transfer or transfer that's out there. And then obviously be able to reward, if that doesn't happen, be able to reward some of our walk-ons again that deserve to be rewarded.
Max, you got a question?
Yeah, this one's for Sam. Sam, despite everything that's gone on in the past few months, sort of where's your confidence level right now that this could still be, the ingredients are there for this to still be a pretty special season for you guys?
Oh, my confidence is through the roof. I'm very, very excited with the experience and talent that we have returning, and then add in the expertise and eliteness of the coaching that we're getting right now. And I'm really excited I feel like this team's a little bit older than we were last year. And guys have a lot of experience, and my confidence is through the roof, and I can't wait. It's going to be a really fun year, and I'll stop there before I say anything too crazy.
He's not the sophomore on the stage in the Sugar Bowl anymore, gentlemen.
Hey, Chris, go ahead.
Hey, this is for Sam and Caden. Y'all have both talked about some of the social activism you've participated in over the last few weeks and months. This seems to be happening more and more kind of everywhere across the country. What do you think has contributed to this push nationally for college athletes to utilize their platforms more than they have in the past?
I just think, personally with me, it just feels like I've been blessed to given this platform and play at a university that has a huge platform, and to not use it to help society out and help my community, then that would be a failure to me personally, because it's bigger than football. This is just a stepping stone. So not to use it to help other people out, and to make sure that I hear them and get their voices heard as well as I can by using mine, then if I don't do that, then it's a failure. So I think people are starting to understand that we do have a voice, and you know, a lot of people felt kind of limited just because of, you know, for whatever reasons, not wanting to get involved. You know, you have people, fans telling you just to play, but we're more than just people out there just banging our heads and hitting people. We got people who got beliefs and perspectives too, and so as athletes, I think we should use that to the fullest ability. So yeah.
I would say since the advent of social media, the understanding of the power of platforms at the college level has been increasing since then. You see every year it kind of gets a little bit more and more. And so with that being said, I think that guys understand that their voice matters. And that doesn't necessarily mean just college athletes. I think that you've seen that from businesses to people with following, and it's been great to see that people understand that their voice does matter. And the more you hear it, maybe if you hear it one more time from a different person, maybe that will be what changes your heart. And so understanding that and voice matters.
Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, Tom, I just wanted to ask you about, I mean, you have to plan for all scenarios, and I wanted to ask you about the worst case scenario possibility. What happens if multiple players test positive either leading up to games or during the week? And then on the flip side of that is, are you just assuming that the opposing coaches will, I don't know, keep their, COVID players out? Or how are you in terms of monitoring what the other team is doing and keeping your guys healthy?
I have no earthly idea.
About any of
I don't mean, like seriously, I'm not trying to be a smart aleck. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. You know, we haven't been told, you know. I know what would have been 11 years ago, you know, we went through H1N1. I think that was the swine flu in 2009, I believe it was. And I was at Iowa State, and we traveled to Lincoln, Nebraska, and you know, we had to play Ndamukong Suh with like 9 starters out. You know, we flew them on separate planes. We had them in quarantined in different hotel rooms, and you know, couldn't get anybody's fever to break by Saturday morning. So I think that's another one, Brian. Just, you know, we're wait and see till the powers that be tell us how they want us to handle it. But yeah, that does keep me up at night. You know, I've even, you know, the 2 guys right here, I've even, you know, if you could, you know, what was the movie Bubble Boy? You know, if you could make a bubble for these guys to walk around in, that'd be, you'd probably make a lot of money off of that, because we'd certainly be buying a lot of those bubbles right now. Because I do know, as it stands right now, on June 11th, I think is what today's date is. If you test positive, you're 14 days in self-isolation. And anybody that has been, the 3 factors that I've been educated on, one, if you were within 6 feet for more than, these are, I shouldn't say 3, they're kind of all rolled into one. If you've been maskless and closer to 6 feet for longer than 15 minutes with someone that has tested positive, you yourself, whether you're symptomatic or you might have tested negative, you have to have a 14-day quarantine, which is different. I've learned that's different than isolation. So a quarantine is a little bit more lenient than the isolation phase of it if you are positive. But this is not only going to affect the players that test positive. This is going to affect everybody that falls into that criteria. So at least that's guidelines on June 11th. Do I believe in my heart that those guidelines will be different by September 5th? Yeah, I do. But what they're going to look like, I have no idea. And, you know, it's, again, just kind of play it by ear. And you know, when they tell us what to do and how to do it, we'll do it. But, you know, I think the biggest, I know that the biggest mitigation strategy and most effective mitigation strategy that we have right now is educating our players. And we as coaches need to be great role models of wearing masks and of being socially distant and washing our hands and washing our masks every time we use them and all of those things. So, but just the education, I think these two guys are very mature guys that you see in front of you. When we get to the season or even prior to the season, I would imagine that most of our team, they're going to come lift and work out and practice and meet. We've even talked about having virtual meetings even during training camp, just to keep the indoor exposure to each other at a minimum. We haven't settled on that, but it's an idea that's been thrown around. I saw an article where Bruce Arians talked about, quarantining his quarterback for the entire season. It was something that certainly has crossed my mind, as well as it don't. That's how you do that, huh, Sam? So, there's a lot of ideas out there, but on June 11th, guys, we don't know. Think about, 2 short months ago, we don't play a game for 87 days, something like that, 86 days. Think about our knowledge and response, how much that has changed on a global scale, national scale, statewide scale, university scale, program scale to 87 days ago, right? We were told 87 days ago that wearing masks would be harmful because you'd be touching our face. Now, fast forward 87 days, everybody's wearing a mask. So I think it would be a bit premature to try to think about the season. We're trying to get through, trying to get to Monday and make sure everybody's healthy and ready to go work out on Monday.
Hey guys, we're coming up on 11 o'clock, so we've got time for one last question. Danny, go ahead.
I don't know if you're allowed to say, but the 2 players who tested positive, did they march last week? And with that in mind, are you concerned at all that you guys may see a spike in positive tests soon?
No, not concerned, because again, I know a lot more about COVID-19 right now than anything in my life. But from what I understand, the tracing of the contact of those people that have tested positive only needs to go as far back as 48 hours to when they first started feeling symptoms or tested positive. So the first player that tested positive started becoming symptomatic on Sunday, so that would push his tracing back to Friday. And then the other player started having symptoms on Tuesday, just a couple days ago, so that would push his tracing to roughly Sunday. So neither of those dipped into the march on Thursday to begin with. From the best I could tell, most of our guys, if they did, take their masks off to have a breather. One, we were outdoors. 2, most guys that did, take their masks off for a brief amount of time. A, it wasn't 15 minutes, and B, it wasn't within 6 feet of someone. So not too concerned. Obviously, to say that I'm not concerned at all, that's not accurate either. But I think from everything that our medical team has told us, that that this should not be. March was not a factor in these two young men testing positive. And somebody asked me about John texted me about Peter Pudgy and Darian Brown. Peter is continuing to get lab work and tests done on his heart condition. To think that he's going to play football this season, I think is a pretty stretch. And then Darian Brown just a few weeks ago had a second surgery to clean up some of the issues with his skull. So I would doubt that either of those two young men would be playing football this season in 2020 right now.